From JA to UK to LA and everywhere else now, this is a podcast strictly influenced by Jamaican music, brought to you by Eric Kohler and Junor Francis. Well, if you're driving in your car or you're sitting home alone, the Junior entertain you on his microphone. The history of LA Ska. Yeah, hear stories from a guest while we all have a blast. From LA to Jamaica, it's in the podcast. The history of LA Ska. Of LA Ska, yeah. It's the history. Yes, it is. Of LA Ska. History of LA Ska, yeah. It's the history. Yes, it is. Of LA Ska. Of LA Ska. It's the history of LA Ska. One more time, yeah. It's the history of LA Ska.
Welcome to the History of LA Ska one-on-one sessions. I'm your host, Junor Francis, alongside our producer and my good friend, Eric Kohler. Now, this series celebrates the ska, rocksteady, and vintage reggae scene in Southern California and beyond through insightful conversations with legends and modern-day talent, including those behind the scenes. And a lot of people are working behind the scenes to make this successful. And really and truly, it has been a success. Therefore, whether you listen to this podcast series or watch us on YouTube, we want to thank you abundantly. Thanks for your support. And please remember to subscribe and tell a friend. Tell as many friends as you possibly can. On this episode, we welcome members of the traditional ska and rocksteady group, the Elysians. They're from right here in Southern California, domestically grown and harvested, and they're among the best. And nobody paid me to say that, that's the unfortunate thing. They were formed back in 2019, and what a great formation. The Elysians feature current or former members of the Untouchables, Ocean 11, the Arlingtons, Arise Root, Veronis 13, Pacho Jose. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Pachuco Jose.
Pachuco.
The Moan, among other amazing groups from Los Angeles.
That's right, Junior. Thank you. Let's welcome, in no particular order, band leader, drummer Lino Luna, trumpeter Dexter Krohn, keyboardist Bubba Sanchez, aka the Bubba Master, singer Mandie Bee, and last but absolutely not least, singer Chris Murray. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, we've been looking forward to this. Appreciate you all taking some time to talk with us. And we're going to talk about one particular upcoming show, but we want to absolutely talk about your formation of the Elysians and kind of your individual backstories. So we're going to have some fun tonight. And it should be noted, Bubba, you were one of our guests on episode 51 in January of 2023. That was the 2022 year in review episode. And then Chris, you were our guest on episode 79 in April of 2024. And we encourage everyone to check those episodes out for deeper dives into each of Bubba and Chris's careers, so to speak. So,
So, Lino, you were a member of the Arlingtons, because I
was a brief member of the Ellingtons.
Brief.
They were a little group that
big group, big group.
They were a big group. Well, they were a bunch of friends from the some of them went to Bell Gardens High School, like Robert Sotelo, and I remember Lee. And I grew up not too far from where they used to practice in Bandini. I grew up in a place called Rosewood in the City of Commerce, and that's where the Ellingtons, I believe, I think that's where they originated. If I remember, I think there was a drummer before me for a while that had an unfortunate accident. I'm not sure the details, but just a brief time. I played a couple of shows at Terraza Hamay, I want to say it was called,
yes.
in Montebello.
Right.
Okay, because we worked with them extensively back in the day.
Yeah, a couple of shows, yeah.
I don't remember seeing it, that's why I asked. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Right, so back to the Elysians now. You guys started 2019, just pre-pandemic, right?
Yes.
Tell us about the formation and where the name came from.
You know what? We had quite a few names. we just kind of so I wanted to start a band that you go back a little bit further. I played drums for a while with Pachuco Jose, and in that rockabilly world, they do like the ska rock steady scene, where they spin the 45s as selectors are playing the music. Well, same with the rockabilly scene. There's a DJs playing the 45s, and they're called record hops. And some of that good music from the 50s, 60s and stuff, they're playing and people are dancing to. And that band Pachuco Jose played a lot of those covers of not so clean, not so perfect, but that sound that originated the music.
Mm-hmm.
And I wanted to start a ska band, kind of like playing those songs that you hear the selectors play, but in a live band setting with some good horns and driving bass. And so that's where the idea came from. And the Elysians name, I was driving down, I worked for the city of Downey, and I was driving down, I seen a sign. It was actually a hairdressing salon, and I liked the name. And then I kind of researched what kind of meant, and
the rest is history.
I love that. I love the Downey shout out.
That's how I came up with the name.
I was born and raised in Downey here.
All right.
What were some of the other names that were not the final chosen name?
Do you remember Dexter? Dexter's a original trumpet member. You remember some of the names, Dexter?
Yeah. One of them was
Kung Fu something. I don't know.
Yeah, that was like
karate chop. The karate chop.
Yeah, karate chop. Yeah, that was one. One was the Kingstons. Yeah, we had a few like jokes ones, but it really came down to the Elysians and the Kingstons.
Karate chops.
Obviously, but yeah, karate chops too.
Mm-hmm. Interesting enough, when I saw you guys, I think David Kidd had a show. That's when I first saw you.
Yes.
The guys, I said, these guys are real full-fledged musicians. How do you get from A to B? I couldn't understand.
And I do remember when Junor told me about seeing you all.
Yes. When the band started in 2019, I reached out to some musicians that I knew in my immediate circle. Dexter was one of them, and Uncle Ernie on the guitar, and Moises on bass, and we had some early musicians that kind of filled in, and the band has gone through some it evolved, and you have the band that we have now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where it started. And I was able to just kind of like start from a place, and just like everything else, you kind of some musicians it's for them,
sure, and
then some it's just like they want to explore more the ska scene, like Carlos, our saxophone player, trombonist, amazing musician. He listened to the music, but he had never played it before.
Wow.
And he fell in love with it. So he's a real key player in the band.
Yes. And so you were formed in 2019. How many shows did you do pre-pandemic?
Oh, I want to say we played at the House of Blues in Anaheim, opening up for the Wise Guys Big Band. And that was kind of like the first time we played on a big stage. We needed some.
You might have to turn.
We might
maybe hot spot.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe jump into the kitchen.
Yeah.
If you can hear me, Lino.
Yeah.
Okay.
You froze for a second, Lino.
Did I just saying that turn your camera off for now?
Yeah, you were saying House of Blues was might have been your first show, or first big show.
House of Blues was the first show, and House of Blues, and that was our like starting point on a big stage. And, we needed some work at that point still, but and then the other one we did, what was that show? And I think that was Bubba's first show with us, big show with us, and then we were really lucky to have Bubba with
All right.
Oh yes, Derek Morgan.
Yes.
Just
played a show
flyer right there.
Yeah, that was August 2022.
Too?
August
Yeah, the fire.
2015.
Oh wow.
Yeah, just coming out of the lockdown, right? That was
So
quite the incredible step.
he's gonna have to make some adjustment, maybe switch to hotspot
Yeah.
or
I think he did we did a little
turn off,
practice maybe. Let's see.
utilize his
I
data.
think he went to go get us some beers.
There we go. While Lino's doing that, so this is a question for all of you.
Mhm.
Junior?
Yeah, so are you ready, Lino?
Yeah, sorry about that.
Could you complete your thought since you're back?
What's that?
Complete your thought. You didn't complete your
Oh, I don't even know where I cut off at.
That's okay. That's all. It's not a problem. So I want to ask each one of you your baptism into this music, be it ska, rocksteady, or reggae, or you're not even baptized yet. It's a question for all. It's a question for all.
And Mandie, let's start with you.
Okay, so I first heard ska music when it was real popular on the radio, like in the 90s. But I was like in junior high, I was really young. So all the bands like all the third wave bands, like No Doubt and Real Big Fish, Say Ferris, Mighty Mighty Bosstones, like all of those bands.
Mhm.
And granted, I was like a teenager,
And
and it was yeah, yeah.
All right.
So I'm from Covina.
Nice.
So uh I mean that music alone, even just the third wave of ska, what was going on in Orange County was unique to itself. So I didn't know very much about it until older friends said, "Here, listen to this." And they gave me more like Jamaican ska. So I started listening to some friends gave me like those old Trojan box set CDs.
Yep.
So I listened to those in my car to the point where it was like when I was in college, I would like sit, I would just like study them. I would just like play. I'm like, I'm gonna play this one, I'm gonna play this. I had the dub one, I had the ska one, I had the rude boy, I had all these different box sets I would just sit in my car and listen to. So so essentially it started when like the ska boom was happening in Orange County, and like I just sort of found my way to the traditional music from there. So
And
that's my story.
all right, I love that.
So what radio station was playing?
Oh, that was like K-Rock was the main
K-Rock was
radio station. I can't. There was like
Y107.
another alternative, like
And not
Y107.
Yeah,
Yeah.
107. Yeah, right. And then do you remember the first time seeing a reggae or ska band live? And who it was?
I was a huge fan of Say Ferris because I love Monique's voice. Because I've been a singer my whole life, and I think she's fantastic as a singer. So I can't remember the first band, but like that was the first ska
No.
show I went to.
Right. All right.
I think the first more, and then I saw the Slackers at some point, and that started opening things up. And thanks to Chris Murray, I went to the Blue Beat Lounge a whole bunch. Almost every week I was there. So yeah, I
We
was
used to be
exposed to a
road
lot of
buddies.
different music. Yes, and Bubba was my carpool buddy.
The blue what? I'm not familiar with it.
The Blue Beat Lounge.
I'm kidding.
Yeah.
We are going to talk about that later for sure.
So the question
yeah.
applies to everyone. Your first
How
baptism.
about you, Dexter?
Yeah, kind of along the same lines as Mandie, growing up in the 90s, hearing, dancehall crashers. I wasn't really a gamer, but when PlayStation first came out, you heard a lot of ska on Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of, Say Ferris was on there.
Goldfinger.
Real Big Fish. Yeah, Goldfinger. Aquabats. Funny enough, Travis Barker is kind of in the family of ours. My sister married his cousin, so
Okay.
listening to the Aquabats and just watching them play was fun back in the 90s when Travis was in. But yeah, kind of along the lines with Mandie, and then slowly growing up, going into high school, getting introduced to more of the Jamaican, ska, rocksteady, and the Trojan, the boxes, that was a big thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, the 90s was big for ska, and
Indeed.
then it died out a little bit, and we're trying to bring it back in. So yeah, I mean that was my baptism, was back in the 90s, with Tony Hawk Pro Skater.
And a wonderful one
I
indeed.
love that. Lino, what about you?
Okay, mine goes back to the late 80s, and it goes back to Belgarns. I went to Belgarns High School. It's where I met a lot of these players, these musicians like Robert Sotalo, Efren Santana, and there was a little garage band that used to rehearse next to a girl I was seeing right across the street, the house on Fry Street in Bell Gardens. The band was called the Scandals, and it was there were a lot of band members like Alex, Efren, and Ernie on drums. And I remember they would practice in this little shack, and it was loud, and the music was so good and energetic. I'm not sure if you guys remember the band called the Scandals.
I know of them.
They used to
see them, unfortunately.
They used to open up for we used to follow them around, and it was them, the Specs, Orange Street, I want to say, Mob Town, and we would go follow them around in Pomona, Riverside. And I remember during that time, like there was all these Vespas in the front, and it was just a good time. And everybody had their bomber jackets with their patches and stuff. I wish I still had mine. It's in the Goodwill somewhere, but it was size medium anyway. That wouldn't fit into it. But yeah, that's how I started listening to ska, because I used to follow them around, and then lo and behold, they opened up for a band called the Aggrolites. Had no idea who they were. I was just this 17-year-old kid, and liking the music that the Scandals are playing. Right. But when I heard the Aggrolites, it was like, whoa! It was a whole game changer. I was like, this is amazing. I'm even getting chills just talking about it.
Yeah.
Because you got these older gentlemen, and I remember the bass player, he had these long dreads, and they helped him carry the bass on stage.
Love it. Yeah.
And he's just walking up, and they're older, like I said, and they're wearing they have their little swag with their tennis shoes going. But once they started playing, they were like 15 again. They were 20 again. And the energy they brought was amazing. So that was like what turned me on to the whole music.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
That's
wonderful.
great. That's quite the baptism. Bubba Master.
Yeah, so I used to tell people it was like the same 97 K-Rock, 98.7 Y107, all those bands that have been mentioned before. I'm an Aqua Cadet. But I do remember we had some French exchange students a couple of years before that, in like 95, might have been 94. And I remember one of them was a skinhead, and I was like, I do not understand. What is like, he's a skinhead, seems really chill though for being a skinhead. Like, I was not aware of the subculture or anything. I'm trying to remember his name. But but there was a group of French students. One of them was staying with my grandparents. He was more of like Teddy Boy looking type of guy, like rock, like maybe R&B rockabilly kind of looking guy. But his friends were like, we're in America, we're in Southern California, we're gonna go to as many ska shows as possible. And this was like Bucko 9, Goldfinger, all the 90s bands, everyone. At that time I wasn't allowed to go to any concerts. That was my first initial. Wow. They were also into like Pennywise and the skate punk scene. That was my initial exposure. But yeah, I rode the third wave. I got all the ska compilations, and then we had a cover band in high school, and we used to cover No Doubt, Say Ferris, UB40, all of that stuff, Real Big Fish. And played a lot of backyards and family parties and the skating rink. And then the Israelites, so funny, the Israelites in Viernes Trece were looking for a trumpet player at the time. And I ended up joining the Israelites because the horn parts were way easier. True story.
Horn
Viernes
parts are
Tres-
never easy.
Dude, Viernes Tresa's trumpet parts were crazy at that time. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go check out the. Plus, the Israelites are next door in Whittier. I'm in Pico Rivera.
It's
Met
convenient.
Rich.
Convenient.
Yeah, I was in. So then he's like, well, now you're playing this, so you got to learn this music. So yeah, box sets. Got into two-tone, and then going to Blue Beat Lounge. Started listening to some of the songs I used to skip over on the compilations. Started reading the liner notes and everything, figuring out who's who. And Jason Lawless, rest in peace, he came on my college radio show and was like, I'm going to show you what's what. He brought in a box of 45s and CDs. And then pretty soon I was DJing the Ska Summit pre-party. And yeah, I had to cram, man. I crammed two-tone and traditional ska like within 6 months,
Wow.
and I was playing it, and then we started Skinhead Reggae Band, and that was also the time when the Aggrolites had formed.
Mhm.
And so man, that was a time, and the 2000s was like definitely, it was different than the 90s ska, but it was definitely a big time, like a
Right.
great time.
And we first met when you were doing your Cerritos college radio
Yeah,
show.
the radio show. That's another thing, is I used to listen to the Havana Kingston connection all the time, because Eric would be spinning everything. He'd be playing some boogaloo and salsa, but then he'd be playing a bunch of ska, rock, steady, and reggae. So I used, because I'm under 21. Saturday night, throw on the Havana Kingston connection, man.
Way to
And
go.
then
way
maybe
to go.
watch ROV after that.
Thank you.
Shout out to G Scott.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Murray.
Well, I grew up in Toronto, and I got into ska and reggae kind of separately, but at the same time. Ska, definitely two-tone was my introduction, and two-tone happened when I was in grade 9. So I think for all the 90s kids, it had the same spot in my timeline. And two-tone was amazing. At the same time, Toronto has a strong Jamaican community and a lot of artists as well, such as like Jojo Bennett, who used to play with Byron Lee, and Leroy Sibbles from Heptones, were active local musicians in Toronto with groups. So there was Jamaican music around me a lot growing up there.
And right. Who you said?
That's amazing.
Jackie Mitu, right? Jackie Mitu, Leroy Sibbles,
Me too.
Johnny
Lived there.
Osborne,
Alton Ellis for a while, Stranger Cole.
right?
A number of them.
Yeah, you came in contact with all those guys.
Miss Lou ended up there.
Nice. Yeah, some big
Wow.
names.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of the big
Well,
names.
those are some fun baptisms.
Oh, real quick, I just
Oh,
wanted
yeah.
to, I meant to mention this. When I started going to ska shows, it was before Blue Beat Lounge, and it was a lot of Orange County ska shows. I went to go see the Aquabets and Real Big Fish, but then when I started driving, I started going to the smaller ska shows, like at the coffee shops.
Mhm.
And the first time I met Mandie, she was singing with a band at McLean's Coffee Shop in Fullerton, California.
Wow.
Yeah.
I thought I met you at an Aquabat show and I helped you make your cape go.
No, I met you before that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Do you
That's
remember
okay.
who
You
you
don't
were?
have to remember. It's okay.
Do you remember?
Bubba had a
Don't get my
cape
feelings.
and he's like, "Will you help me?" And then he wanted me to make it fly, so I
That's
grabbed
right.
the ends of the cape and I was making
You
it look
helped
like it
him
was
crowd surf?
flying. That's what I remember, but I'm sure
Hey,
I met you at
Bubba, I
McLean's
think
too.
we gotta buzz Bubba's cape out for the Slacker show. What do you say, Bubba?
Yeah. Bubba, you gotta
Make
bring it
Bubba
out.
It was at the
fly.
glass house. It was at the glass house, if I'm not mistaken.
I love
All
that.
right.
think
The
so.
return of the cape. The return of
Very,
the cape.
very, very
Yeah, there you
appropriate.
go.
Before we go back to the Elysians, another question for all of you. What was the first time you performed live, and who was it with? Publicly, maybe not among your friends and family.
The Elysians? The Elysians?
No,
the Elysian
no.
band?
Just in
Each of
general?
you individually.
Well,
Oh,
I know.
wow.
I think my first public show that wasn't like a backyard family party
Mhm.
was at Skateland in Whittier with Stalking Roxy.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I
How about
booked
you?
it too. See, I started promoting a long time ago.
Mandie, do you remember?
Don't remember. I mean, I started playing in a band when I was like 15 years old. It wasn't a ska band. Well, it was supposed to be a ska band. It just didn't turn out that way. But we played at McLean's, which was like a little coffee shop, and like backyard parties and stuff
Okay.
too. Yeah.
Okay. How about you, Dexter?
Well, I've been playing trumpet since third grade, so going on, not to age myself, but 30 years or so. But first like real big public show, it was actually being like an honor student. Obviously in numerous honor bands, but one that really hits home to me is at the Pomona Fairgrounds when Earth, Wind, and Fire played. Earth, Wind, and Fire, they were, one of the members was friends with my band director, and they wanted to bring on some honor students. So I had the honor to go and play with Earth, Wind, and Fire a couple songs at the Pomona Fairplex.
Wow, that's pretty
That
cool.
was like that was the big show. That got me out of my shell type of thing on stage.
A true honor. Yeah, that's great. Lino?
Well, I'm a band geek, so I mean, playing in front of people, marching bands, of drum corps and stuff. I used to do all that growing up. But in a band like a garage band or an actual band on stage, it's gonna be part of the Wise Guys. They're a local band from Montebello, a big band. So they do the Frank Sinatra kind of stuff, and we did a show at the Whiskey, and that one stands out. That was I remember my mom telling stories back in the day about the Whiskey and all them Hollywood. She was part of that Hollywood scene and the hippies and stuff. So to play at a place that my mom used to party at was kind of weird.
In a good way.
Right.
Yeah.
Chris, what about you?
Well, I was in a few bands in high school, which I don't remember the names of, and we played a bunch of stuff, including ska and reggae. And we were all underage, so we played like the school assembly, and we were one of two bands that played a school dance. The guitarist, his father was a minister, so we played the teen dance in the church basement one time, parties. My first like club gig would have been with King Apparatus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what year would that have been?
87 for King Apparatus.
87. Right.
I think we made the rounds, huh?
We made our rounds.
We made the rounds. So back to the Elysians now. What are some of the songs that you would consider staple to the group?
Like,
For instance, whenever you go out and play, these are songs that for what I would
Rico Special?
definition.
Rico,
filler.
yeah.
Dance floor filler.
Yeah, I was
Rico-
gonna say Rico Special is like our real go-to. I mean, that's always been our opener since day one, basically. It's a real it's an instrumental. It has that kind of like bluesy feel to it, but yet that ska groove.
Indeed.
And it really, being on stage and Junor Francis does an amazing job introducing us when he does. And the minute we start playing, we play Rico Special, and I notice, everybody just turn their heads and, oh wow, who are they? Or what's this song? And since day one, it's been Rico Special. It's our opener.
The other personal favorite of mine is when you all do Peanut Vendor.
Yeah,
Incredible.
Peanut Vendor is gonna have a little twist when you hear it next time.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
You're gonna hear it. We're going back to
Ska, right?
Both and Latin
Go
Ska.
Ska.
Yeah. We have one of our vocalists, Jerry, who's actually from Cuba, or he's Cuban, and we're gonna put on the Cuban flair to ska music, and because that's where I think that's he was saying
that song came from Cuba.
Right.
Yeah. I think that's kind of when I started playing a lot, and I talked to Lino, and there was a lot of these because because when the band started out, and a lot of the original musicians came from the rockabilly scene, and so there was a big crossover, a heavy blue beat swung ska style. It's like a natural crossover with those musicians.
I can see that.
But I think also what a lot of people, and a lot of people that have been listening to this music for years, don't realize the connection of a lot of those old ska, what we think of ska standards, are actually covers of music from various parts of the Caribbean, Latin America, and even just jazz standards.
Indeed.
And so I was mentioning, dude, we have this asset in Jerry. He sings in Spanish, he's Cuban. We got some Cuban songs we're actually doing.
Nice.
And so that's yeah, I think that's you had bands like, well, Ska Cubano does something like that, but there's not a whole lot of bands here that are doing stuff like that. And
Right.
I think I look at anytime I'm playing this music as a tribute.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we talk about covers. How about original? You guys planning to write any originals? Lino?
Man, do you want to take this one?
So as far as I'm aware, the Elysians don't have any original songs, but I do. So there's 2 songs. I'm pretty sure we're playing both of them at the Glass House that I've written.
Right.
So those are the first original tunes.
Wow.
Although I take it back, because I think Chris did one, like when you first started singing with us, Chris, didn't we? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, we did
When
Shades of this. Yeah, Shades of the Same Color.
Exactly.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Because you guys brought me in for like a gig. I had to learn 6 songs quickly or something, and there was a 7th, which was Evening News, which I listened to that and I'm like, I know the other one's kind of already in my head. This one is going to take a lot of work. I'm never going to nail it. But it just was very fortunate that it was in the same key and with the same chord progression and shades of the same color. So we kept all the horns from the Evening News arrangement, and I just inserted the shades lyrics. And
That's the Jackie Me Too. That's the Jackie Me Too Evening News.
No, Lord Creator. Is that right?
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So-
Oh,
no,
you're thinking of
right.
Evening
Jackie Me
Time.
Too is evening time.
Evening News.
Right.
Yes, sir. So
Yeah,
Chris,
we did get together. Me, Lino, and Carlos got together. We are working on some original stuff. We do anticipate it, and we've had some of our friends in the scene that record approach us about recording, making sure we go record when we're ready.
Yeah.
So it's something that
That would be great.
we're all doing this out of love and tribute and stuff, but that's definitely the next step.
but
Yeah, that's where we're going for sure.
yeah, but Chris just came back from Brazil. I see no reason why you guys can't be in Brazil 2026.
There we go.
Yeah.
I mean, what's the holdback? What's going to stop you guys?
Let's do it.
And
Get
speaking
Your
of Chris,
passports ready, guys.
and, yeah,
It's in the back pocket already.
no, I think you guys are ready for the big time.
I think we've been really putting in a lot of work lately for the last couple months. We're really gonna powering up for the Slackers show and for the summer, and so you'll get to see a new member in the horn section. His name is Joey. He's been around for a while, right? What other bands was he in, Bubba?
Yeah, I think he was in the 45s and possibly the Delirians as well.
I think the Bohunks.
The Bohunks.
Oh,
Yeah, he was
okay.
in the Bohunks.
Nice.
Yeah. Real nice guy. We got
That's
Enrique.
the band that Jackie Mendez came from, for you guys
Yeah.
keeping score at home.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so it's really sounding good. The horns are really sounding good. The vocalists always are on point, I think, and Jim on bass, really good.
Right.
Robert Sotelo and Swinging Johnny on guitar. We're really trying to just lock in and just get tighter so we could
Yes.
you guys the show.
It
I
is an
think
all-star.
Not just
band.
LA, I think the world waiting for you guys, man. You have two
Thank you,
excellent-
thank
two
you.
excellent vocalists, believe me, the world is waiting. So
Thank you.
this time around, Chris and Mandie, your duets are magical, really and truly magical and amazing. What songs have you previously performed together, and which songs would you still like to do in the future as a member of the Elysians?
The ones we've done are I Won't Let You Go, Jamaica Ska.
Ghostbusters, Jamaica Ska. Oh, can't you see?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
See,
Love that one, right?
What?
Yeah.
Is there another one?
I feel like there might be one more.
I feel like there's one more,
Yeah,
but I
I think
can't
one
remember.
more.
So the second part of the question, what songs you haven't covered? Do
All
it.
the rest.
All of them,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm. That's what I'm talking.
That's the right
exactly
answer.
what
I mean, I had to take a little break last year from rehearsing because I had my baby. So we haven't discussed any like new covers or whatnot, but
I
yeah.
haven't even seen you since then, have I?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. I've been to like 2 rehearsals this year.
We'll put a link to a suggestion box. in
The other
case
two.
anyone-
Okay.
Yeah, that'll
Yeah.
be really good. That'll be
Leave it
really
in the
good.
comments, guys.
There we go.
And hey, baby, even though I'm not sure how to define it. You know, that one was a larger than life hit for Stranger Cole in Australia. As a matter of
Yes,
fact, he made so much money, he was able to
baby.
buy
I love that song.
himself a house in Jamaica. Yeah,
Beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Reynolds used it as a commercial in Australia, so everyone in Australia knows
Wow.
that song.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Great job,
Yeah, okay,
Patsy.
that's good.
Oh, absolute perfection.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Nice. Yeah,
Um,
and Maddie could definitely pull it off. She has the wonderful voice that
Indeed.
we love to have in the band.
Indeed, she did.
And you have a trombone
Thank
player,
you,
Dan.
man.
Dan Drummond blow the trombone, made that a hit. Lynn Tate was, it's a genius.
Yes,
That
yes,
song is
yes.
awesome.
Wow.
Mhm.
There's so many good I mean there's so many good songs out there. I mean there's so many, and I do like just the stuff that's I could, when I hear a song I could see the crowd dancing, and there's so many of those songs. I mean Lee Scratch Perry has some amazing ska songs that a lot of people have never heard of, but imagine playing that, I mean it's just like, whoa, they'll be like, it'll open up. It keeps the legends alive. Number one, that's what I want to do. That's what I always want to keep the legends alive. We're playing covers. We're playing, we're the Scott Abels music. We're playing music from Desmond Decker. We got Colin. Let's not forget Colin, who's also joining us. This is what we do. This is what the band's all about. We have a variety of singers that keep the show going, keep the flavor spicy, and it's just we want to party, and we want the crowd to have a good time.
And that's the right.
That is absolutely
Have a good
the right
time.
attitude.
Yeah.
Not to mention we have a lot more other covers that we haven't played live. Where we're always focused on, a show at a time type of thing. But I mean, just be prepared to hear some new music coming out real soon. Coming from the Elysians.
I think the horns standpoint too, just a beautiful song. It's from Russia with Love.
Oh yeah.
It's really sounding good, and when we play it for you guys, I hope you guys enjoy it too.
I love it. I cannot wait. Chris, Brazil, you just returned. Can you give
Yes.
some highlights from your trip?
Definitely. So I was there for about 8 days, and I didn't have a show the day I arrived or left, but every other day there was a show. One day there were 2 shows. On top of the shows, there was a studio session, so I did 2 collaborations. Those were definitely the highlights. The shows were all cool. In Sao Paulo, I did a collaboration with a group called Bloco Scaravan. So Bloco is like when they have Carnival, it's a lot of horns, people are on a parade walking around, and maybe like 3 or 4 people on hand drums, that kind of thing. So we did a studio recording of We Do the Ska, and somebody had done a foreign arrangement. I got to the studio, and they were all 16 of them in the room, standing in front of microphones, and they all had like these football jerseys that they made for the band. So the whole team was there. And I walked in, and they're like, walk, 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 walk. So we did, they were prepared. We did 3 takes live in the studio, and the first one sounded great. The last one sounded great. I didn't hear the second one back, but it was sounding cool.
That's super cool.
That was
So
a
those are
highlight.
live recordings?
Yes, live in the studio.
Live
So
in the studio.
everything was mic'd up, and the other highlight is, I know a lot of people have seen footage of the collaboration with Hod. I'm going to say it as well as I can. Roda de Ska. In Rio de Janeiro, they say Ska. Or Ska. I
And
just learned that.
Is
And so
ska popular? Did you hear ska outside of your performance? I know reggae is all over Brazil.
I'll answer that in a second. But this group is contains members of 4 different bands, and they get together, I think, every couple of months and do this gig where it's on the beach, and they all sit in a circle, which is a traditional way of samba players playing together. So it's using that traditional samba format and you doing ska music. So everyone is seated, and this thing has been going on for a few years.
Wow.
My first time seeing it. So it was arranged that I would join them for 4 songs. So we did The Real Ska, Message to You, You're Wondering Now, and also I Can't Wait, Hepcat.
Wow.
And so that was really awesome. There was no rehearsal. I just showed up, and again, there's probably like 15 people ready to play along. And we did it. It sounded great.
That
Wonderful.
must
Definitely.
have been magical. I did see the footage, at least of one of the songs online. Yeah, that was beautiful.
So-
Wow.
Chris, while your microphone is still open, so we switch focus now. Subject. The Blue Beat Lounge. Oh, he had one more question?
No, but he needs Chris, you need to answer the ska question if you've seen.
Right.
Is ska big in Brazil? Quick answer is no. The guy who brings me down and is the main engine of building the ska scene there, Bruno Lancelocci. He runs Radiola Records. He used to do a zine back in the day. He had a radio show back in the day. So he's been like the champion of ska in Brazil for a long time, since the beginning of the millennium.
Wow.
And so he brought me down in 2006 along with Slackers and a bunch of bands for a 3-day festival. And over the last 20 years, he's really been putting a lot of energy. He's the person who'll bring Aggrolites down, or
Okay.
a lot of top acts. So he has been really putting a lot of energy into putting ska music in front of Brazilians. It's not something that they knew.
Yeah.
Reggae
Right.
is very popular.
Yes.
And a lot of different type of Brazilian music is also very popular.
Mhm.
So a few people doing the work to try to expand the music.
Yes. And I think I can see over the last 20 years of going there, it is catching on. And now there's like another couple of decades of, well, this band formed and this band, and I heard it from him. And so the scene is definitely growing.
Nice.
Right.
That's
But-
great.
Practically all the reggae performers have at one point or another, and ska and rocksteady perform in Brazil. I know Pioneers, they go like 2 times a year and more. Yeah, so reggae is definitely big there. Reggae,
Right.
yes, skinhead reggae.
And some of the
Yeah,
legends,
yes. So I jumped the gun for a moment, wanted to talk about, anxiously talk about the Blue Beat Lounge. It played a very crucial, important, and vital role in keeping the ska scene going through the 2000s, right? So
Yes.
then you did collaboration with Tom Chastain and Boss Harmony Dub Club. So that's Rebirth #2. Is it possible that we may see a third rebound?
Anything is possible.
All right.
I don't have any concrete plan for it. I'm always open to good situations.
Mhm.
I like that, Chris. I
I'm
like
putting
that
out here
answer.
because I'm ready for round 3. Yes.
The scene could use a reboot of some sort of Blue Beat Lounge.
So
Obviously.
practically everyone here has at one point or another gone to the Blue Beat Lounge, right?
Yes,
I think-
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, like I just told Chris a couple of weeks ago, like I remember the floors bouncing up and down. Good old knitting
Yeah.
factory.
Man, it was really and truly the
Wow.
gateway, especially for touring bands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I was talking to you one time, time you were here at my house in my garage. We were talking about Desmond Decker. Got to see him at the knitting factory.
Mhm.
Oh yes.
So
Yeah.
you guys, for doing your work, thanks for bringing the legends down. That was a great show. I'll never forget.
Well, to me personally, it's great to be in a band with Mandie and Bubba and Robert and Colin. All you guys were like super steady Blue Beat people. And Bubba, I don't know how many bands you would have played with at Blue Beat. Like,
Yeah, Bubba, if you had to guess, how many times did you play Blue Beat Lounge?
At Blue Beat Lounge, I would say at least 8 to 10 times. If we count anniversary shows and stuff,
right?
yeah. definitely. I mean, Knuckle Brothers.
Right.
Robert Sotelo played a lot of times with
Oh,
various groups.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ernest,
I've
that's
seen
it.
I've seen him a number of times there. No, but as Junior said, I mean the importance and impact that Blue Beat Lounge played, and Chris, I know it was. I'm sure you were sweating many a times, but it was just truly such a not just an important place for bands, but an important place for the community, right, and scene to go, to hang, to bond.
So many cool shows at Blue.
And where did the idea originate? How you came up with the concept?
So at the time it started in 2003, John Pansel approached me. Well, he actually approached me at the end of 2002 because it started at the beginning of 2003. And he was the chief or head booking agent for Knitting Factory at the time. And I knew him from, I think I met him first when he was promoting a Sublime show in
Orange County.
somewhere in Orange County in 90.
Panel Presents or something, yeah.
And so he said, hey, come over. I want to show you the place. And he had the alternate lounge, which held the legal capacity, I think, was 75. Sometimes they would sell up to or a little over 100 because they had the other rooms. They could kind of like, well, we've got a larger capacity, but it was a tidy little space. And he's like, I want you to do a residency here on Tuesday night. I was like, Tuesday night?
Right?
Like, that's hard to bring people out on Tuesday night. So right away, I knew that to make this work, I needed to make it a thing where other people than me were involved, because my own residency wouldn't have lasted.
Sure.
So right away, Brian Dixon was a key member. I knew him because he had come out with King Apparatus as a sideman on a tour in '94 when he was just a kid. And now he was like the recording engineer. He was in C-Spot. He was doing After Hours.
He was in Rhythm Doctors, but this is now just right when Aggrolites, I think, you started.
Okay, so he was a key man on the scene. He was recording a lot of bands at Signet Sound Deluxe where he was working. So for the first couple of months, Brian was a crucial part of Blue Beat in helping me program other acts to be part of my residency, which I called Blue Beat Lounge. And by the beginning of the third month, the first one in March, was when there was the Reggae Nucleus anniversary.
Yes.
And for that, we brought together a handful of guys from Hepcat who had been inactive for a couple of years, I think, or a few years entirely. Yes. Greg was in Costa Rica.
Yes.
And we got Lino, Narvis, Destin, and Alex.
And Dave.
Those five guys came together, and Roger Rivas played keys,
right.
Chuck Farrar from C-Spot, and I joined Alex singing, and Pansel played trombone, and I don't know, maybe did Kincaid play? There might have been a
maybe, and Ross Michael opened.
It was an incredible show, and that show way beyond sold out. And at that moment, everything coalesced. It had been a first great couple of months. After Hours had played, Dick Ruggiero had played solo, Aggrolites had played, Debonaires had played. There was a Joe Strummer tribute.
Oh, wow. What a first.
It was just
good
stuff. And this was just like drove it over the top. And from that point, it had a real momentum. And somebody said the community. It really became the spot where people would come, because even if you didn't know who was playing, you knew you were going to know people there to hang out with. And to have a regular weekly hang was really, I think, a part of life for a lot of people.
Yeah. And I know I've thanked you and I've thanked the Hepcat guys, but that Reggae Nucleus anniversary show truly was special. Meant a lot to us, and obviously people do remember it fondly. And it did kind of, maybe not kind of, because I know that some of the Hepcat guys have said this, but I mean, it did spark them wanting to play together again. So, an honor for sure. Well, maybe a reboot of Blue Beat Lounge at some point, maybe not. But either way, we know that you remain very active, Chris, and so we're excited to see what 2023 the rest of 2025 has in store for you.
And you had a good run too with the Dub Club.
Yes, that's right.
Mhm.
So for a couple few years leading up to COVID, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, Tom had approached me and we would do, I would program the upstairs room as Blue Beat Lounge with bands, and he would have Dub Club downstairs.
Right.
And you could come back and forth on the same entry ticket. And those were really nice shows.
Oh, yes.
So haven't done any of those since COVID times, but that's a good idea.
Yeah. Bubba, you are an active member of a very another important group who was around since the early 80s in the Untouchables. Wanted you to talk about the Untouchables. Want you to talk about Jerry Miller, who passed last year. If you can say some words.
Yeah, totally. So, you know, the Untouchables have always been a staple of the LA ska scene. Specifically Jerry Miller, who is the one of the lead singers of the band, but the guy everyone knows because he was in the band the longest and he was the tallest guy in the band. He was a big tall guy. And not only was he, you know, the notable guy from the Untouchables, but he was, you know, much like Greg, he was a regular of the ska scene, of the mod scene, of the 60s scenes. He used to ride a scooter. He shows up to shows.
Yes.
If he was available, he would be at a show.
Yes.
If he didn't have a show,
there
was a show happening, he would be there.
He would be there.
True. Very true.
You know what I mean? So naturally, I met Jerry very early on in my ska career because he was my number one fan. Sorry, guys. He would come to all of my shows. So he would come to like every pedal tone show that guy could be at, he would be there.
Wow.
And it meant a lot to me because that was like, you know, the band was originally started by me, Dan Lauren, and Esco Chris, but that was like one of my projects. Like I was brought in by Dan, but it was like me, Dan, and Chris, and like that was it was like crazy that Jerry Miller was like, he was like the number one guy, the number one fan showing up at every show. And since that time, he had been bugging, and he's like, "Hey, Bubba, when are you gonna join my band?" Like every time I saw this guy, and I'm like, "Jerry, I'm playing in this band, but I'll play with your band when I can." You know what I mean? Like, I've already committed. Let me know when you're ready, Bubba. Let me know when you're ready. And eventually, I started playing when I could. Sometimes Viernes Tres, I would play shows with the Untouchables. So I would jump up on stage and do the set with them. And I didn't know it perfectly. Eventually, I would get it. And then eventually, I think it was around Back to the Beach, which was like 2017. Like I was definitely in at that point. And had been played almost every single show since then. And then, you know, me and Jerry, you know, we were relatively close, but like when I joined the band, like that's when we got really tight. And so when the Untouchables started, the key members were Jerry, Chuck, and Clyde. And Clyde was the lead guitar player, main creative force behind the band. He left in 99. Chuck left in the late 80s, early 90s. You know, he had a different path he had to go on. But eventually that path led back to the Untouchables, and Chuck would join the band whenever he could. And then eventually I ended up, you know, managing, and Chuck ended up coming to most of the shows. And Chuck really wanted to be back like a full member. And I'm like, well, then come back, because we will take you.
Right.
You're an OG, you're original singer. He's an original lead singer of the band. So like I said, a lot of people remember Jerry because Jerry sang all the songs, but the thing is, Jerry sang all of Chuck's songs as well. You know, and the songs were either covers or they were written by Clyde or Josh. And we have another song we're working on that was written by Josh. I'll leave it at that. Yeah, so we kept going, we kept playing, we got in a connection with Rob Juarez and started doing the Lost 80s shows. He also books Boingo, and for, you know, people that were around in the 80s, the Untouchables used to play with Boingo pretty regularly. And so they really wanted to bring that show back. Those are our brothers, man. I cannot believe that I'm playing with those guys. You know, the bass player recorded Viernes Trece, so I had that experience with him. But Oingo Boingo has been one of my favorite bands since I was in junior high, and it's just wild. And so we got some shows coming up with them this year, and you know, when Jerry has been sick for a while, and when Jerry was getting a little sicker, and we relied a little bit more on Chuck being there so we could spread the energy. You know, Jerry started, you know, thinking too, like, well, what happens when I'm not available? Do we cancel the show? Does Chuck do the show? What are we gonna do? And it was like, you know what, Chuck's gonna do the show. And so for those of you that went to the Madness show, Jerry was really sick, so right. Jerry wasn't at that show.
Right.
It was pretty wild behind the scenes, but Jerry wasn't at that show, and Chuck ended up pulling it off.
Indeed, yes.
And
without an itch.
Yep, we did it. It was now, if you were in my head, it was a real weird time, but as far as I know, from everyone I talked to, it was good. It was a good time.
It was an amazing show.
It was.
Thanks, man. And so then we got to have Jerry do No Values with us. And so we had both of them, and Jerry was on a stool. So me and Jerry were talking, well, how are we going to pump up the show? Now that I have to sit on a stool, there's no question he has to sit on a stool. What are we going to do? We were talking about getting those floodlights, like a floor stomper light, so he could try to be a little bit more animated, even though he's sitting on the chair. But it was kind of decided that it was cool if the band kind of just carried on. And we all talked about it, you know, while Jerry was sick as well. And we ended up having some shows in October, and Jerry passed at the beginning of October. And, you know, by that time we were committed. So
yeah,
we did the shows. Everybody felt good about it. Everybody still feels good about it. And so Chuck is carrying the torch for Clyde, you know, for Jerry.
And so what's in store for the rest of 2025? We're 4 months.
Right now we only have some Boingo shows. So we're playing with Boingo and Fontana on May 5th, House of Blues on May 4th. And then we're doing our usual, we're doing the Pachanga with I want to say Drama Rama, and I'm not even sure. You know what? I can't even say.
That's all right.
But you guys are getting work.
We have a Pachanga.
In other words, the band is continuing.
And you know what? The dates might be up. I don't know. Check our campsite. And we're hopefully going to be doing like maybe Arizona, Vegas, Santa Cruz, hoping for a Fresno. I'm going to reach out to Let's Go Bowling guys. Maybe we can get something worked out later this year.
Cool.
Way to go.
Maybe Los Hooligans. But
wonderful.
Definitely want to keep playing.
Yeah. And I think you guys
should. And recording.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I want to mention is, you know, with being with the Elysians, it was an honor to have Jerry jump up on stage with us when we played at Pomona Fairplex. You know, Jerry was there as a supporter, and then Bubba kind of got him from backstage type of area, and he jumped up on stage, and the Elysians got the honor to play with Jerry.
I had forgotten about that.
That was really fun.
That's, yeah. How special is that?
Cool.
Mandie.
Yes.
How did the opportunity for you to join Ocean 11 come about?
Okay, so
I actually don't know.
this goes back. A lot of people actually ask me this. This goes back I don't know, 10 years or so, 10, 12 years.
Oh, wow.
When a lot of like the legends were coming and Persephone would get other singers to sing backgrounds with some of the legends.
Yes.
I'm trying to remember exactly which show. There was one at Los Globos, and I know Persephone was singing with two other people. I think it may have been Colin and that girl that was in Pennyreal. I'm sorry, but you
Joanna.
remember that girl?
Joanna?
Joanna.
Yeah, Joanna. So I think it was
So
those
that
three
must
were
have
singing
been
backgrounds.
Ken Booth, maybe?
It may have been Ken Booth. Anyways, I've been saying I studied music. I studied voice in high school and all through college. So I'm like, I love singing harmonies. I like writing harmonies. All my songs have tons of harmonies. So seeing Persephone up there and like it was clear that she was kind of like running the other singers. I'm like, I need to talk to that lady so I can be up there too. So later on, like a few years later, she was at a show I was at, and I went up to her and I had been drinking. And I went, Persephone, I would love to sing with you someday. And she's like, okay. And that was like 10 years ago. And then when Ocean 11 was having their reunion, I get a call from her and she's like, listen, I remember what you said all those years ago. Would you like to join us? So
And
that's
this is
I
now prior to the Derek Morgan show? Or before that even?
so they had the reunion show was the Derek Morgan show, wasn't it?
I
Back
think,
in 22?
I think it was.
Yeah. So I planted
too. Right.
The big
I
reunion.
planted that seed long ago, and she remembered and reached out to me after the fact. So that's how it happened. I manifested.
She remembered, right? So that particular show is significant in many ways, right? Elysians, it was one of your big shows.
Yeah, and so that's actually how I got in touch with the Elysians because I noticed like, they're playing local and I didn't know what was going on with Ocean 11 necessarily because obviously we've only played 3 or 4 times since then.
Right.
And I wrote to I'm assuming it was Lino. I just wrote to their Instagram and I was like, "Hey, if you ever need like a lady sit-in, like I'll come sing with you guys or whatever. Just, here or there, whatever." Not thinking I was going to join them. So, yeah.
You know what's wild is me and Mandie, a tangent. We've known each other for at least 20 years, and
longer.
Yeah,
we'll
say 20.
We'll say it was 20.
And we even went to college together, and it was always like she always wanted to play with me, and I was always playing in other projects. Like she's like, when are we gonna do something? And we're doing it.
Yeah.
20 years later, we're making it happen. Thank you, Lino. Thank you.
Making it happen.
Thank you guys.
Yes, man. Wonderful. Creating ideal conditions for all this to happen. So, Mandie, since your microphone is still up, if I'm not mistaken. So you recently performed with Western Standard Time, one of the biggest bands in Southern California. They've really and truly been making the name for themselves. Amazing all-star. Aiton, how you pronounce his last name? Avenari, who partnered with Greg Lee at one point or another. Please reflect on some of your experience working with them, the big band.
Oh,
and what did that what did that mean to you?
It meant a lot, really, because actually, again, this is going back several years. And when Greg and Alex were singing with Western Standard Time, for some reason, Aiton reached out to me because he had one song for a female voice, and he's like, do you want to sing with us? And I was like, yeah, that's great. Send me the stuff. And I don't know the details, but for whatever reason, I didn't, like, he had to cancel on me or something, whatever. But, fast forward, playing with him in Ocean 11, and then just being around him a little bit more. I think maybe he could see that I was a worthy singer because he didn't really know me that well. He was like going based on somebody's recommendation, I think, back then. And so he asked me to do this show that we did at the Terragram Ballroom, which is a fantastic venue. That place is beautiful. The sound is beautiful. It's so professional. It was just a real treat to be there as a musician on that stage. And then having a big band backing you as a singer is like enormous. It's like having the Elysians like times 10. And the show was great. We were a little worried because the ticket sales were kind of low, like going like all the pre-sale, but like day of, like the room filled up that night. Like everyone had a good time. There's just like good energy in the whole space. And it was just amazing to like sing with a big band. Yeah.
It sounded great from the audience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was out of town, so I could not make it, but all the reports, Mandie, were all extremely positive, and I can imagine how special that was. Mandie, speaking of Greg, let's talk about, and if you could share the backstory. So the Slackers have a new single that was one that came to Greg in a dream, so to speak. I'm going to let you finish this, but it's called My Last Star. Will you pick it up and talk through this?
You want to know the story, you mean?
If you
Okay.
could, yes, please.
No, yes, certainly. And I wrote this for when they were, I'm pretty sure this is going to be in the liner notes as well for people that bought it, or if you're going to pick it up at one of the shows. But it was about, I don't know exactly, but about a week before he passed away. Um, he had a dream, and in this dream, he was like in this classic car with like an old neighbor. He like used to live in Burbank, and like this neighbor's like, "Hey, Greg, get in the car," right? So they're like cruising down just the driveway, and there's a song playing on the stereo, and Greg's like, "Hey, what's that?" And the neighbor's like, "Oh, you don't know this song? This is great. This is the Slack." He's like, it sounds just like the Slackers, but I've never heard this song before." So that's what's going on in his dreams. So he wakes up and he immediately goes into the kitchen. He's got the lights on and everything. He's like humming and singing and like writing the lyrics, and he's recording himself. And it's 3 a.m. And I'm at that point, I'm 3 months pregnant. And I'm just like, I need to sleep. But I'm just like, that's cool. He's writing, I know what he's up to. So I go out there and I check on him. He's like, I gotta get this. I gotta get this. Right. So I'm like, so I just go back to bed. And in the morning, he plays me the voice note. He shows me the lyrics, and he's just like, it was so like visceral and like colorful. It was just like so like ingrained. And he told me, I was like, oh, that's cool. You're gonna share with the Slacker. He's like, hell no, I'm gonna keep this for Hepcat. So forgive me. I'm sure. Forgive me. I figured like because it was the Slackers in the dream, I felt like I knew that I could trust Dave to make it happen, especially. That's not any offense to Hepcat by any means. It's just I feel like there was like a connection between the two because he heard Vic and he heard, Dave playing and everything. I'm just like, let's try to make the dream come true. You know what I mean?
Right.
So that's the story, and they've recorded it. There's like the version with Vic singing, and I think the B-side has just Dave playing sax through it, and they put a little bit of like the voice recording like in the music, but it's like the recording that he's got on his phone is like not in sync with like the actual music, so it's kind of like ethereal back there. So it's really beautiful, and it's just a cool story.
And
So
Victor Rice, if I'm not mistaken, I think mixed
yeah.
and dubbed it out, right?
Yep.
And it is, I think it's available still for
I
yeah.
believe they're still selling it. I know that they got their shipment, and they're gonna have some on their tour.
Right.
That's all as much as I know.
Even more reason to come out, obviously, and
Uh-huh.
to the show here.
So it was recorded by you after he
No,
expired,
Greg recorded it on his phone and he shared it with me.
and then you took it from there.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah. I found when I was packing up our things to move our house, I found the lyrics on the pad of paper, and I was like, I need to do something with this.
Yes, brilliant idea.
Yeah, no, I just listened as well. If anyone wants to hear Dave Hilliard talk about this as well, really great interview with him as part of Horn Pod's latest episode, which is another podcast, Things I Can't Forget. He talks about it and goes into depth as well. So, but yeah, so special and listen, I mean, hands down, if it wasn't for Greg Lee or Jerry Miller, the ska scene, not just here in SoCal, but the whole, I hate to use the word revival, but I'll use it, but the whole 80s, 90s until today would just be so much different, right? The contributions on so many different levels, not just recordings, but but the same way that we talked about Jerry being out there, I mean, Greg, Junior, you have stories about Greg getting out there and supporting the scene. And, for a little while he was bartending at my good friend Sean Arlene's Bar One. And that was really cool when he came back came back to SoCal and to kind of see him in that environment and just kind of hang and talk with him. And, then just everything. Just such an enormous loss.
Yes, sir.
He was like Jerry Jr., man. He was at every show too that he could.
Oh man,
But
yeah.
For those of you that don't know, like I even moonlit in some psychedelic and garage frat rock bands. And Greg was at those shows too.
Right, yeah. I know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We're coming near to our destination. But I have a question for the entire band, but I'll start with Lino unrelated. So the Elysians will be opening for Slackers. That's a big opportunity on May the 10th at the Glass House in Pomona, alongside City 45, John Ray's Smoking Mirrors sound system, and DJ set featuring the Robot Man. Dub Robot. He's back on the scene. Congratulations. What can fans expect?
Fans could expect a show. They could expect a show. I think that, and I'm just want to take this opportunity to say thank you to the fans that have been with us and along the way, and go to the shows and bought the merch. And it's really cool to see like people wearing Elysians shirts. And you know what? Like, this is what it's all about. And I appreciate the support. So every time we hit that stage, all these members that you see, plus the ones that aren't on the podcast, they are really working hard to put on a show.
Mm-hmm.
We are support for the Slackers, and we are going to, and our friends at Steady 45s, right. And expect a party.
Mm-hmm. So out of respect, I think we should acknowledge the members who are not present, because I know they have mothers and brothers and kids and family. So I'm redeeming you. This is your chance for redemption.
Yes. Our horn section. We have Carlos that plays he plays trombone, and he plays a sax as well, but he's a trombone player. We have Enrique, who's another sax player. We have Joey, sax player. We have Dexter right here on trumpet. We have our awesome singers. We have Mandie, we have Chris, we have Jerry, we have Colin, we got Jim on bass, and we got Swingin' Johnny. We got Robert Sotelo, who doesn't need an introduction. Mm-hmm. Bubba right here. We got this is the band. This is the Elysians.
With that lineup, I think you're putting a lot of people on notice, from California to New York.
Yes.
Indeed. Dexter, talk about some of the other groups that you were a part of prior to joining Elysians.
Yeah, so dating way back to the early 2000s, before I even joined the Marine Corps, I played with Brian Setzer's orchestra for a couple of seasons on his Christmas tour. So I was, one of the fourth or fifth chair trumpet player, nobody trumpet player with him, but that was really fun. And then I joined the Marine Corps, and I fell out of music for a long time. And then I got out, got into the rockabilly culture, and I got approached by Pachuco Jose, and I played a couple shows with him, and that's where I really met Lino. And so when the time was done with Pachuco, Lino said, "Hey, I want to start something." So I said, "Okay, well, what do you want to do?"
Yeah.
And he said, I'm feeling like, R&B, like a rhythm and blues band. And so, we got to talking and whatnot, and that's when the Moontones came about. And that was Lino's baby, and I was just a part of it, and things just fell in its spot, and we had a lot of fun with the Moontones, and then the time came where we had to part ways, and then maybe couple months after I parted ways with the Moontones, Lino said, "Hey, I want to start something." I said, "Hey, what do you want to start?" He goes, I'm feeling like a ska group." I'm like, "Okay, cool." I was brought up on ska, in the 90s, and so here we are today, sitting here with the Elysians. And
Right.
so yeah, to answer your question, I played with big name acts all the way down to a simple garage band, and then now getting back up to the big name acts with the Elysians.
I love it. Nice.
Just sharing this stage with Derek Morgan. It doesn't get any bigger. Show sold out multiple days before showtime.
That was a
Yes.
cool one.
You know what? Like, yeah, Dexter really reminded me about all that. Like, I want to start a band. Like, I'm kind of like that. Back in the day, I had some amazing talent practice here in this garage. We had a band called the Steady Rock Easy Groove Council, and it had members from the Delirians and Joey Quinones, and they were just fresh out of high school. But the talent that they exhibited, I was like, whoa, I think it was Garfield that they came from, and I was just like, wow, this guy was playing this and that at that age. I think he was like 19 years old, Joey, and Angel on the guitar. I've been lucky to play with such amazing talent.
Yes. Well,
Definitely.
we're very excited to see you all on May 10th at the Glass House as part of the Big Slackers show, also with Steady 45s. And as a big lover of music from and inspired by Cuba and Jamaica, as my old radio show was about, super, super excited for your set. And I always love Jerry's, what he adds to the band as well. So, looking forward to that one. Any final thoughts? Anything? I know that we're just literally scratching the surface here, but anything you want to share, whether it's what else you're doing in 2025 or anything else?
Yeah, I think we are going to switch the focus, and our goal is to do some originals, and but stick to that 60s vibe. Like we really I just love that sound. Everybody's doing a great job. Like the bands in the area that I look up to. I love the Steady 45s. They're also our fans of Scufflers, that are our new upcoming band as well, just like us. And it's not a competition. This is music that we're keeping going, and this is a love and a passion that we have. And I think with everybody's approval, like this is. Just kind of to come up with some more originals. Thanks for Mandie to getting it started. And we were coming up with something in the backyard not too long ago with Carlos and Bubba. So that's got to be finalized and finished up. And I think it's going to be a pretty good year.
So you mentioned it's not a competition. Why not a competition? And I'll give you an example. For instance, Duke Reed. Him and Coxon, they're good friends, but on the night of a dance, the friendship ends, and they renew the friendship tomorrow. Because Duke Reed goes with one intention: destroy, 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 and tomorrow we're good friend again. It's a competition. There's, not with violence, but with sound, man. Where you're gonna play sound that you're silent in competition.
Well,
and then
I'm trying to be nice. People are watching. Our friends are watching us. I'm trying to be
right.
Nice
he's trying to be nice.
When we hit the stage, we want to tear it up, but everybody does a great job doing what they do.
Yeah. Look, I'm not gonna lie. Like when you have a really good set.
Yeah,
it still feels good, and then everybody is dancing on the dance floor, and they all have to go to the bar, and the next band starts, and they're not as engaged. It's like, yeah, we did something.
Exactly.
No shade to the other band. I'm not gonna lie, though, it feels really good when stuff like that happens.
I think one of my favorite sets was Orange County, Mandie's birthday. Their energy
that was special.
that night.
What was special? Was it the set list?
Partly because it was my birthday for one thing, but it was also like the first big show that we had as a community in the ska scene after Greg had passed away. So a lot of people, for me, and I mean, I'm saying this selfishly, I know a lot of people came out for me to support me because of what I was going through. And Greg was supposed to play that show as well. He and I were supposed to sing songs together. So it was just like,
Yeah.
yeah, big downer, but everybody brought the party, so it helped. But yeah, that was a really good night.
That was a nice set.
Yes.
Just the only thing I want to say is, well, I want to say thank you to Eric and Junior for sure for having us. Thank you for Eric, Junior. Thank you for Chris for all the roles you guys have played in preserving the LA ska scene, especially. And I know Junior's even thrown shows in Mexico and stuff like this. But thank you everybody that's listening to this or watching this. Please share it. Please support all the bands. Please buy merch, buy songs, and not to toot or promote myself, but also show up to the DJ nights. It's a community.
It's important.
You know, Ted has Rhythm and Brews and stuff. And there's a lot of other DJ nights happening, and I feel like there's a little current right now. You know, all we need is that new Blue Beat Lounge.
Yeah, Chris, we're coming back.
Chris, no pressure.
And there's nothing wrong in promoting yourself. A lot of times nobody's gonna promote it, so you may as well take the initiative.
Yeah. Well, then follow the Elysians on Instagram.
Follow the Elysians. Follow the yeah. And those that are listening to the, you know, just from local, from afar, you know, hit up Junor Francis, hit up Eric, you know, hit up the Elysians, you know, get us to your city. You know, like get a show going. Let's get a show going. Let's get this going.
Chris, you were going to say something.
I was just saying, everyone keeps talking about Blue Beat Lounge. Maybe Elysians need a house gig.
Here we go.
I got one thing I want to say before we finish.
Yeah.
And this is because Junior asked us a question, what people should expect from our show at the Glass House on the 10th. The one thing I like to say every time I get a chance to, when I'm playing a ska show, I need to remind the audience, you're at a ska show, you're here to dance. Ska is dancing music. If you're not here to dance, you're at the wrong party, bro.
Yeah.
So come on, we make dance music. Come on, dance with us.
Yes.
Yep.
Great point.
Excellent.
Mandie, and I also want to thank you for we worked closely together, and it took a lot of people to be involved for the very special tribute Dance With Me, the concert to really pay respect and love for Greg at the El Rey last fall, and then also the little thing at the Grand Museum. So I just want to personally thank you for all your everything that you did to make those two events very special as well.
Well, I mean, I got to thank you. You're the one that organized everything. I was just like, yes, let's do that. Let's do that. Let's do that. Yes, I'll ask this person. But really, I mean,
Like
when I think about it, all y'all were, so I need to thank you, really. But sure.
Everyone involved, everyone in that
Yep.
definitely made it special. So,
But Lino, for all these people to work with you, you must have some sort of okay character.
You know what? Yeah.
Because I tell you, when it comes to
I don't know. At times,
coming
it's
together and
hard.
falling apart,
It's hard. It's hard. This is a big band. This is a big band, and like I told everybody, like, you know, I mean, yeah, try to get everybody at rehearsal. That's one thing, but you know, and I'm not gonna. Yeah, it's everybody has they're artists. These are artists, and artists are creative, and artists have like this mind, just like mine, that is constantly going and thinking of like better ways to do something. And it's like, you know, we have 13 members or more, I think it's around 13 members that all have this color, you know, and we're all trying to, and then when we come in the backyard, we're trying to make it work. And so sometimes it goes smoothly, sometimes it doesn't, but at the end of the day, you know, we're a band of musician friends and the family. And you know, we've been together through some rough times already, and you know, this is definitely something that's going to stick around a while, and this is the group that's going to do it.
This is exciting. Dexter, you get the last word. No,
I mean, yeah, it's fun. It's really fun to be out there and, you know, vibing with all these musicians, all these artists, and playing these shows. You know, a lot of bands, they expect to be like that headliner, and honestly, my personal opinion is I like to be the support band. I like to be the opening band because yeah, you may not have a big crowd, but then your next show, that crowd will remember you from the last show, and they'll tell their friends, "Hey, let's go check out the Elysians. Hey, let's go check out the Elysians." And that's where, everything starts snowballing. And I mean, as an original member of the Elysians, and I'm sure Lino could attest to this, we've seen that. We've played little mom and pop type, bars, and it's like, yeah, there's 10 people here. And then maybe a year later, we had a fan come up to us and we're like, "Hey, I remember when you guys played in Riverside at the Mission Tobacco Lounge." And it's like, "Oh, wow." And then they say, "Oh, I brought all my friends to come see you guys. You guys are amazing," or whatever.
Right.
And then it's just like, it just starts snowballing. And that's what makes it fun, And then, just with all the members in the band, it's not just friendship, honestly, for me, it's becoming more of a family.
Yeah.
Because, we all go through stuff and in our personal lives. And, me personally, I know I could rely on my bandmates to be there for me. And so, music's the universal language, and it's not always a cure-all, but it definitely is a cure for something. And that cure is, if you have an open ear, then it's there for you, And so that's what I had to say is just, have fun. There's no, it's not always about the competition, It's not always about me, It's just simple. Just have fun and start exploring the world,
Well, I love that. Dexter, thank you. Lino, thank you.
Mhm.
Bubba, Mandie, Chris, we appreciate everyone's time and looking forward to what 2025 has in store for the Elysians. And obviously, we'll see you all on May 10th at the Glass House.
And please subscribe to this podcast series and our YouTube channel. Follow us at History of LA Ska on Instagram and join our Facebook group. That's very important. And that's really growing leaps and bounds.
And we appreciate everyone's ongoing support, really do. And
But
again,
give me one more chance
oh yes,
to
sorry.
say thanks to this series produced by Rockery Radio. You're still programming for Rockery Radio, right?
Yes. And
Yes.
Junor, thank you for all you do. Until next time, we're going to leave you with this. Please continue to do your part, everyone, to celebrate and preserve the scene. And come on out, put on your dancing shoes, and enjoy yourself. Much
So
love.
the next time out is May 10th.
May 10th,
May 10th. May
the
10th.
Glass House.
This will be out before, way before.
Oh, yes.
May 10th.
Much love and be well, everyone.
Yes,
Thanks
indeed.
again. Take care now.
So
Thank you, gentlemen.
All right, you bet. Take care. Bye-bye now.
bye.